What is going on, squad? My name is Brian Mark. I'm the host of the #1 podcast for online fitness coaches who are trying to grow a successful online business without spending any money on ads, a website, or a funnel. I built my fitness business to over $50,000 a month over the course of 4 years. And in the last 2.5 years, I've worked with over 1,000 online coaches and 100 of them have hit $10,000 a month. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. What is going on, online fitness coaches? Welcome to another episode of the Change Lives, Make Money Online Trainer podcast. This is the #1 show for online fitness coaches who are trying to grow a successful online business. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the fear of sales calls. The fear, F-E-A-R, fear. What does that spell? Fear. Fear of sales calls. And I want to give you guys some practical tools, frameworks, and psychology to overcome your fear of sales calls so you can start making more money and you can start changing some people's lives. Are you guys okay with that? If you're okay with that and you're listening to the podcast, good, because I'm going to talk about it even if you weren't okay with it. I'm just joking. Okay, now before we get into today's episode, if you guys want to be entered to win $1,000 cash, I'm giving away $1,000 in the month of June. All you need to do is screenshot any podcast episode right now. That includes you, Clubhouse. Share it to your Instagram stories and tag me at bmarkfit to let me know that you're tuning in, and that automatically enters you to win $1,000 cash. I am giving away $1,000 cash in the month of June. So June 30th, I'm going to choose one of my lucky listeners and I'm going to be like, dude, I appreciate you. Do you want to take some money? And then I'm going to send them $1,000 over PayPal. It's going to be a good time. So if you want that to be you, screenshot, share, tag, let's freaking go. Now, how many of you guys, online fitness coaches, are afraid of sales calls? Like you have a fear of sales calls, right? Maybe you are afraid of sales calls because you don't know what to say, or they're nerve-wracking, or they give you anxiety, or whatever it is. Today, we're going to be talking about having having a fear of sales calls and what happens if you don't master it. Because if you're an online fitness coach and you want to enroll clients into your program and you're not mastering the skill of sales calls, you're constantly going to be leaving money on the table. And unfortunately, I see this with a lot of online fitness coaches who are trying to grow successful online businesses, but are also unwilling to get on the phone. They're trying to sell their prices over DM. They're trying to send their prices over DM or put their prices on a website, or they're just not willing to get on the phone with people that are interested in their service. In fact, if you're in the 10K Coaching Academy, listen up. We literally give you guys step-by-step blueprints to book sales calls with prospects. And some people actually resist booking sales calls because they're afraid of getting on the phone. How many of you guys have done that? How many of you guys know that the DM script is literal gold, but you haven't used it because you're afraid of getting on sales calls and you're afraid, oh shit, if I use this DM script, I'm probably actually going to have to get on a call and I don't really want to do that. So I'm just not going to use the DM script. Let me know if you've done that, if you're guilty. And the truth is, you guys, if you don't master the ability to get on calls with prospects, then you're never going to impact people's lives the way that you want to impact them. You're never going to be able to change people's lives if you don't develop the skill of talking to prospects about their fitness goals. And last and certainly not least, if you don't develop the skill of sales calls, you guys, you're going to struggle financially and you're going to wonder why every single other online coach right now, especially the ones that are all over my Instagram, why is everybody else succeeding, but I can't seem to figure it out? At the end of the day, you guys, if you don't master sales calls, it's going to be next to impossible for you guys to be able to go full time with your online fitness coaching business. So the goal is to master sales calls, right? The goal is to overcome our fear of sales calls and start doing them more. Because once we can overcome the fear of doing sales calls, you guys, it's literally going to be easier and easier and easier for you guys to make money. If you're in the 10K Coaching Academy, let me know if this is true for you. How many of you guys have been in the academy for 6 months plus? And once you're in the academy, you realize it's actually pretty easy to get on calls with prospects and it's actually pretty easy to enroll them into your program. Let me know if this is true for you. And how many of you guys that are, in the 10K Coaching Academy feel this sense of like, it's like, it's almost like when you get on the call with clients, they're like excited to enroll with you. They're excited to enroll with you because of your confidence and your like certainty. And you're like, you feel so good about your coaching program that people are like, yes, sign me up. And finally, when you're in when you start to master your sales calls, you guys, you're going to sign more than enough clients to be able to quit your job and do this full time. And that is the goal. If you're an online fitness coach, the goal is to do it full time. Like, I don't want you guys to have a side hobby. I want you guys to have a full-time income from online fitness coaching. Like, that is the goal, okay? Now, before we get into today's episode, I have a question I want to pose to you, and that is, why do clients hire coaches? Why do clients hire coaches? I mean, think about it. Like, all the information is available online for free. Like, everything that you're going to teach your clients is online for free. So why would they hire you? Think about it for a second. I know, quote unquote, custom programming, but like a client could literally go to Google and get a program that's not custom and implement it and see positive results. So why are they hiring you? Why would they hire you? The reason that they would hire you, online fitness coach, is that because on some level, they believe that you can help them change their life. And they might have been following you on social media. They might have been inspired by one of your clubhouse rooms. They might be, they might have seen a couple of your live streams, or maybe they have read some of your written content, or maybe they've seen some of the posts that you've made with some of the clients that you've already worked with. And on some level, they believe that you can help them change their life. And guess what? The first part of changing their life happens on the call. The first part of changing their life happens on the call. Why do you guys think that is? Why do you guys think that the first part of changing your clients' lives happen on the call? Because all of the excuses that your clients are making for why they're not where they want to be, you know what I'm talking about? Like, I don't have the time. Like, I'm in school right now. I've got kids that I got to worry about. I got to put my family first. And I've got to, the gym is too far away. And I live 3 miles from a grocery store, so I need to skip the dishes every day. And I don't have the money right now. And I have to talk to my spouse. All those excuses that your prospects are making to you on the phone, guess what? These are also the same fucking excuses that they've been using their entire life. In fact, these excuses are why they're unhealthy in the first place. And so for you, you guys need to understand that the reason that these prospects haven't already gone online and used any of the programs that they could find on fucking bodybuilding.com, the reason they haven't done that is because they're telling themselves lies. They're telling themselves excuses. They're telling themselves that they big bone. They're telling themselves that they tried everything. They're telling themselves that, they want to do keto and keto's the only way that works, but they can't stick to keto. They're telling themselves that they're going to wait until they're done school, or that they got to talk to their spouse, or they're saving up money for blah, 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 blah. And that's why they haven't used the free information online. And so you need to understand that the reason that clients hire coaches is they believe that you can help them change their life. And the first part of changing their life is helping them overcome their excuses that they're going to make on the call. Boom. So you absolutely, you must step into your fear of getting on sales calls, because if you don't step into your fear of getting on sales calls with potential prospects, what's going to happen is, if you're in the DMs with you and, maybe you're resisting booking a call because you're afraid, you're like uncertain, you're like, somebody asks you about your program and you're like, oh shit, like, I don't know what to do. And you freak out. Like, if you don't answer that person and you don't serve that person, it's likely that person can continue to have that problem, maybe for the next 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 5 years. And you could have been the fucking difference maker in their life. And also, if you get on the phone with somebody and you let them walk away after one, I don't have the time, because you were afraid to present them a solution to their problem, they're going to stay stuck in their current reality. And that's your fault, because you could have done something about it. And the truth is that they might never change. They might never change. And it could be your fucking fault, because you could have been the one to change their life. And so if you're an online fitness coach that actually cares about helping people change their life, then it's absolutely necessary for you to get over your fear of sales calls. Because guess what? The sales calls aren't about you. They're about your prospect. And so you're so stuck in your own head, worrying about what you're going to say and all the things that are going to happen on the call and what you're so focused on yourself. And that's such a selfish way to view coaching. Like, you should be approaching sales calls with the intention to serve the other person. Like, you're the expert in this topic of online coaching, and they clearly have questions. Otherwise, they wouldn't have booked a call with you. So why don't you just show up as the expert and offer value and help this person change their life? Why don't you just show up as the expert and present a solution to their problem that they've been stuck with for 3 years? Why don't you just show up and serve and stop thinking so much about yourself and being so selfish, and start showing up for the other person and asking yourself, how can I serve the person on the other end of this fucking phone call? Like, let's show up to our sales calls with the intention to serve. Let's show up to our sales calls with the intention to change people's lives. And when we do show up to these sales calls, online fitness coaches, let's make sure that we're not making these 3 mistakes that a lot of online coaches make when they're afraid on sales calls. Are you guys ready? I'm going to give you guys 3 common mistakes that online fitness coaches make when they're afraid of sales calls. So number 1, the first thing you guys need to understand, actually, before we get into the mistakes, you need to understand that your prospects are going to have excuses. And so you need to just accept that. There's not going to be any fucking easy sales. Okay. Maybe it's 1 in 10, but for the most part, prospects have excuses and you have solutions. And so it's your job to present solutions. It's their job to present excuses, and whoever's better at presenting fucking wins. Okay. So that's a sales call. So your job is to present the solutions. Now, The reason that it's important to present these solutions online fitness coaches and get out of your head is because I get the reason you're sending prices over DM is because maybe that's the way you were told to, or sending prices over email because, you were that's the old way, or putting prices on a website because you think that's right. But all of those ways are wrong. They're all wrong. And you need to start getting on calls with prospects to show them that you care about them. And on these calls with prospects, you need to intend to serve the shit out of them and do everything you can to help them on their fitness journey. And if you do that, you will start to enroll people. So let's talk about the 3 mistakes that prospects make, or that online coaches make when they're starting to talk to people and they're afraid of sales calls. Number 1, write this down. Nervous Nelly talking too much. I wanted to name it something cool. The first mistake that online coaches make is Nervous Nelly talking too much. Online coaches will get on the call like, hey, how's it going? How's your day? That's good. What are you up to today? How's it hanging? Where are you from? What's your dog's name? Just talking. When you are nervous and you get on sales calls, you will talk and ramble without any freaking, there's just no purpose to it. You're just talking, right? And so if you're afraid of sales calls, a big mistake that you will make is you will talk way too much. So if you're in the 10K Coaching Academy, this is super fucking simple. Just follow the phone script. Follow the phone script for the first 10 calls. Once you get good at following the phone script, then you can start to talk a little bit. But until then, follow the script. Just literally follow the script. That's it. That's a solution. I get that you're nervous, and I get that it's nerve-wracking to go from question to question in the script, but the script is designed to help you guys enroll prospects. So until you get good at talking, follow the script. So number 1 mistake that online coaches make when they're getting into sales calls is Nervous Nelly talking too much. How many of you guys have done that? Gotten onto a sales call and you realize that you're just talking about what? How many of you guys have done that? Just say me in the comments below if you've done that. Nervous Nelly talking too much. Oftentimes, many of us just talk because we're just nervous. We're just nervous. We're just we're afraid to be on the call. And so we just are just saying whatever is coming to our head. So Nervous Nelly talking too much is the first mistake that online fitness coaches make. And so if you're an online coach getting onto calls and you're afraid, understand that you need to stick to the script and you need to make sure you're talking talk a lot less than you want to. Number 2, this is a good hack for anybody that's an online fitness coach that is getting on sales calls, because I feel like a lot of you guys might be doing this and you're not even aware of it. The second big mistake that online coaches make when they're getting on calls, and this is because they're nervous, is agreeing or justifying negative behavior. I'm going to give you guys an example, right? So, if you're in the 10K Academy, you know what I'm talking about. We're doing pain. We're digging into the pain, right? So when you're digging into the pain on a call, if you're digging into the pain and one of your prospects says something like, yeah, I've been overweight for the last 3 years. COVID was really hard on me. And I don't really have, I haven't really had a lot of time to go to the gym. That's what your prospect says. And then you say, oh yeah, I totally understand. Don't be too hard on yourself. It's totally okay. I get why you didn't have time to go to the gym. COVID was super hard. What the fuck? So many of us do this, right? We agree with or justify negative behavior. Or as an example, let's say your prospect's oh, I don't really have a lot of time because I work a busy schedule. So I eat out 6 times a week. And you're oh, I totally understand. That makes sense why you'd eat out 6 times a week if you're super busy. What? So you're justifying their negative behavior and you're telling them that it's okay. And so why would they enroll in your program if their negative behavior is okay, right? Human beings are looking to get out of pain and get into pleasure. That's what we do. We want to go get away from pain and into pleasure. So if they tell you oh, the reason I'm overweight is because I don't have enough time to work out because my schedule's super busy and so blah, blah, blah. And you're I totally understand that your schedule's super busy. And I get why you wouldn't have time to work out because, working as much as you would, I wouldn't have time to work out either. Don't justify their negative behavior. If you're on a call with a prospect and they're telling you all these things that they're doing, I'm eating out 3 times a week and, I order Uber Eats every single night because I don't have time to eat. Don't justify it. Just kind of be okay, that makes sense. So you say you're ordering Uber Eats 3 times a week. Okay. And you say you haven't worked out because you said you're too busy. Is that correct? Okay, cool. And then you just go on to the next fucking question. Don't agree with or justify their negative behavior. The reason that online coaches do this is because that takes the pressure off the call, right? If you're on a call and your prospect is telling you something super vulnerable, I've been overweight for 3 years because, I haven't had time to go to the gym and, I'm really struggling. And they're telling you this, that almost adds weight to the call. And it adds a little bit of there's a little bit of pain in that call. And then a new online coach will make the mistake of justifying and dampening that pain. And you don't want to dampen that pain. You want to let them sit in it because that's the pain that's going to lead them to want to transform their life. Like when they actually realize like, shit, I've been overweight for 2 years and I'm like struggling. Like when you just like, you're like, I understand. Like how long has that been a problem? Like, how does that make you feel? Like, let them fucking sit in it. Don't agree with or justify their negative behavior. You will absolutely not get a sale because there's no reason for them to change because you just agreed with everything that they said and they have no reason to want to transform because you're the fitness expert and you validated exactly what they're saying. So why would they want to transform? It's a little nuance, but it makes a big difference. Does that make sense? Agreeing or justifying their negative behavior is one of the big mistakes that online coaches will make when they're afraid of sales calls. You got to make them sit in it. When you ask them questions about their pain, you're just like, I understand. And how long has that been a problem? How does that make you feel? You know, is that something you want to change or is that something you want to kind of like, is that something you're okay with? No, I want to change. Cool. Let's do that. Okay. So number one, the biggest mistake that online coaches make when they're afraid of sales calls is nervous Nelly talking too much. They're just like talking about nothing that actually means anything. So stick to the script and stay focused on the script. Number two is agreeing with or justifying negative behavior. The reason online coaches do this is because, again, they want to like alleviate the pressure from the call and they want to kind of like be buddy, pal with the person on the other end of the call. But people don't hire their friends, they hire their coaches. So you need to let them sit in that pain. Are you like, okay, thank you for sharing. Like, is that something you want to change or is that something you kind of want to sit with? Like, because it sounds to me like you're ready to make a change, right? So let them sit in it for a little bit. And number three, the third mistake that online coaches will make, and I see this all the time, and I actually used to do this a fucking lot. I'm going to be honest with you. Number three, write this down. Talking yourself out of a sale. How many of you guys have ever done this? So you're like talking to your prospect, right? You're pitching your program. You're like, okay, so my program is a couple different options. Option number one, it's $250 per month. Option number two, it's $650 paid in full. So you can do option number one, which would be monthly, or option number two, paid in full. And honestly, like, I'm really, really excited about this program. I think it's going to do amazing for you. Like, I think like either one will be really, really good. And I'm going to add extra check-ins. I'm going to make sure that you're always on track. I'm going to make sure you got your meal plans. I'm going to make sure you got everything. And I'm going to take care of you. And I'm going to make sure that you're like, I'm going to do my very best to make sure that you're going to be on track and you're going to be good and you're going to be super successful. So yeah, again, it's like $250 a month. Like that's a lot of my clients do that. Shh, stop that. Like, stop that. So basically, like, when we're new to sales calls, talking about money is uncomfortable, right? So asking for money is uncomfortable. So online coaches have like a really big fear around asking for money. And so oftentimes what newer online coaches will do is when they drop the price, they'll be like, yeah, it's $250 a month or $650 paid in full. And again, like no pressure, totally no pressure. If you want to do it, that's cool. If you don't, that's cool. I would love to have you in the program. But again, if it's not the right time, that's totally cool. So you don't have to do it right now. If you wanted to do it right now, you could. But it's like, and you're just talking all this fluff. And because you're talking so much, you're like invading their mental space and they don't get to think about which option that they want. And so the solution, instead of talking yourself out of the sale, and we talk about this in our program, and we have a phrase that says, once you drop the price, shut the fuck up is the quote that we have in the program. Once you drop the price, STFU. So here's how it should look when you present your prices. All right, so it's going to be training, nutrition, and accountability. All three of those things, everything that we mentioned above. And there's two different options. Option number one is $250 a month. Or option number two, if you wanted to save $100, you could do $650 for paid in full. Out of those two options, which one would you prefer? And then you just shh. You just got to shh. Just let it shh. And you're going to want to talk. You're going to want to, did you? Shh. You just let it sit. Just let it sit. There's actually a funny story. When I was first started online coaching, I started implementing this tactic. There was one time I legitimately sat on the phone for a minute and a half. Nobody said anything. Shh. It's a minute and a half. Shh. I've done thousands of calls with you guys. There was one time I sat on the phone for a minute and a half. Nobody said anything. It's just like, I was sitting here like that. I actually fucking pressed my mute button because I get like really nervous. So whenever I drop the price, I always fucking mute myself afterwards so I can't say anything. So I just sat there. And then finally he's like, hello? I'm like, hello? He's like, yeah, I'll do the paid in full. I was like, cool. Holy fuck. You're sitting there and you're sweating. So you got it. You guys got to sweat. Like you guys got to go through those nerves. And like, I promise you guys, I'm explaining to you the emotional part of the process. And like sales calls are fun, but they're also a little nerve wracking, right? But on the other side of it, like if you're an online fitness coach and you're tuning in right now, how many of you guys have ever got a paid in full? And then at the end of the call, you're like, I'm the fucking man. Or I'm the fucking woman. I can take over the world. I'm rich. Like the paid in full feeling is the shit. But you'll never get that feeling unless you face your fears, unless you approach your fears, unless you kind of like step into like, all right, I'm afraid of sales calls, but I'm going to step into it. I'm going to rock the shit out of it because I want to change somebody's life today. All right. So here's your goals, online fitness coach. I'm going to give you a goal. I'm going to give you an action plan. If you're afraid of sales calls, number one, your goal is to book your next sales call, stick to the script, let them sit in their pain without making it okay. And once you pitch, be quiet and let them process. Can you guys commit to that? Here's your goal. Book your next sales call, stick to the script, let them sit in their pain without making it okay. And once you pitch, be quiet and let them process. That's it. And guys, once you do this over and over and over again, it will get easier and easier and easier. And finally, after your first 10 sales calls, the fear will slowly dissipate because you'll have signed your first few clients and you'll be in momentum. And I do want to talk to you guys. I do want to talk to you guys about this. If you're doing these three things, like let's say you're like, Brian, I don't talk lots. I'm not agreeing or justifying their shitty behavior, and I'm not talking myself out of a sale, and I still can't close shit. Then here are three things you need to do if you're still struggling. Number one is to hire the 10K Coaching Academy. I'm dead serious. Like, we do sales trainings every single Thursday. Cole De Silva to Savage Sales. It's super good. You need to hire the academy. It will change your life. Number two, if you're in the academy and you haven't watched Savage Sales, well, freaking go watch it. But if you're in the academy, guys, book role plays. These are called practice sales calls with other 10K Academy members. Literally just go into the group, say, hey guys, looking to book in for a role play. Anybody fucking down? We'll tag some people in there and we'll align somebody up. And number three, and this is important, if you're an online coach that's in the academy, I guarantee you're not doing this even if you're booking role plays. Ready? Number three, if you have a specific part of the script that you're struggling with, pitch only that part of the script. So if like you're really good with most of the script, but you really suck at dropping the price, then when you book your role play online coach, like drop your price 10 times. So tell your role play partner, yo, what's going on, Anton? So I actually am really struggling with dropping the price. So if it's cool with you, I literally want to do the training, nutrition, and accountability part of the pitch. And then I want to drop the price, and I want to do that like 10 times until it feels smooth. Is that okay? So literally, like, if you guys are struggling with a certain part of the pitch, then like work on that part of the pitch. I know that another example of that would be like, if you're struggling with overcoming the money objection, like every single time the money objection comes up, you can never fucking overcome it, then practice overcoming the money objection. Be like, yo, role play partners. So what I want to do is I want to kind of practice just the end of the script, and I want you to give me the money objection, and I want to do it 5 or 6 times until it feels like natural and smooth. Is that okay? And I want you to give me kind of different responses. And like, I just really want to practice overcoming the money objection. So if we could practice that 4 or 5 times on the call, instead of doing the whole script, just doing like the last little bit of the script and the money objection, that's really going to be helpful. Then you guys are like lasering in on that one part of the script that you really need to work on. And you're like honing your role play skills and you're honing your sales skills one step at a time. And I did that all the time, you guys. Like when I needed to work on my pre-frame, sometimes my pre-frame would need some work. So I would book a role play with Cole, and I would just be like, yo, I'm going to pre-frame you for like 15 minutes before I get on my next call. So I'm just pre-framing. Like, or then I'd like, sometimes I need to work at digging into the paint a little bit more. So I'd practice digging into the paint. Tell me how that feels. Like, what do you really mean by that? Tell me a little bit more. I'd just practice digging into the paint. Or sometimes I need to help paint the vision more. So whatever part of the script you need to work on when you book your role play call, if you're like a more advanced role player and you've done it lots, then practice that like one specific thing. When you're new to role plays, I recommend just going through the script, like, for your first 5 to 10 role plays, just like practicing the whole thing. But then as you start to get better and better online coaches, you'll notice that you'll usually start to struggle with like one part of the script. And so my advice to you would be to practice that one part of the script. All right. So this episode was on overcoming your fear of sales calls. B Mark Fit, hope you got value. And B Mark Fit is talking in the third person. And why is he doing that? I don't know. But that brings us to the end of today's episode. If this was helpful, let me know. And guys, remember, fear means either forget everything and run or face everything and rise. And I want you guys to face your fear of sales calls so you can overcome them. You can start impacting more people's lives. You can start making more money so you can quit your fucking job so you can be a full-time online fitness coach. You guys want that too? Let's fucking go. This is the #1 podcast for online fitness coaches. If you got value today, screenshot any podcast episode, share it to your Instagram stories, and tag me at BMarkFit. Let me know that you're tuning in, and I will be entering you in to win $1,000 cash. Peace, love, protein. I don't know what these hand signs are. Have the best day of your entire life, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Let's go. Online fitness coach, thank you so much for tuning in. This is the number one podcast for online fitness coaches. If you're getting value to the podcast and you want to work closely with me and my team to scale your fitness business and learn how to go online, what I want you to do is go to my Instagram, @bmarkfit, and DM me with the words 10K Academy. Our mission is to make elite business coaching affordable for every single personal trainer on the market. And we want to give you the tools, strategies, and tactics that some of our best clients are using to thrive right now in the online training landscape. So go to my Instagram, @bmarkfit, and DM me with the words 10K Academy, and me and you can have a chat on whether or not I can help you scale your fitness business online.